everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. It's really wonderful to see you all here. This is one of my favorite events, and I think this would have been our 4th year doing our Champions event. So I, of course, am very sad that we couldn't see each other in person. Last year, we celebrated up at La Fonda, which was a wonderful event, and we had delicious food and activities with the girls, and we all, I don't know, it's just one of my favorite events because I get to hug so many people and greet so many people and see so many friends of Girls Inc. Because we couldn't really make what we do happen without all of you. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. Welcome. And thank you for being part of our family. We couldn't really do what we do without you, and you are really what keeps us going. So thank you for joining us. I'm going to start tonight by giving you just a little brief snippet of what's happening at Girls Inc. and what's happened over the last year. It's hard to believe that we saw each other a year ago at La Fonda, but and we've all been kind of on lockdown for 6 months. So I'm going to give you a brief update, and then we're going to spend most of our time hearing from Madonna, the girls and families, and we're going to give our Girl of the Year award tonight. So yeah, thank you for joining us. I think the silver lining of I've been thinking a lot about how do I approach tonight's discussion and what do I say and what's the highlights. And I think all in all, if you learn anything from tonight, is that Girls Inc. is still relevant, more relevant than ever. We're still serving girls bigger and bolder and being dynamic and creative than we ever have. And our programs are needed even more than they were probably needed before, because the girls need that consistent connection with one another. So tonight, as you hear the stories from the families, I hope that you realize the difference that you are truly making in Santa Fe for so many girls. 6 months ago, when everything got locked down, we adapted and adjusted and had our programs up running virtually within 1 week. And I'm very proud of that and very proud of the staff team that adapted and adjusted so quickly. And have been bringing programs to the girls ever since. I think we took 2 weeks off to do training at the beginning of the summer. And I think 2 weeks at the end of the summer, we took off as well. But outside of that, we've been serving girls week after week in a virtual environment. Right now, we're serving over 300 girls weekly, and we have over 30 groups at 11 different schools, including the Santa Fe Indian School. So we've been going strong. We haven't had to release any staff members from working with us. Everybody has adapted and adjusted their positions. And I'm really proud of that and really proud of the support that you all have given us to make that happen. We continue to be the expert on girls, and the superintendent and the schools have really turned to us in this moment of need around social emotional support, that stress management, that connection piece that students and girls are not getting anywhere else because they're isolated in their homes. So how can we connect the girls to one another, have them learn more resiliency skills, really grow upon their learning they've already had with us, and really just make connections and continue to work with one another. And I think in this time, in this day and age when there's just a lot of anger and a lot of people fighting with one another, I think it's even more critical for girls to learn to communicate with people that might not be like themselves, and learn those resiliency skills to kind of navigate this environment. There's been a lot of silver linings for us. So over the last year, we've served 1,200 girls. So even though the programs look a little different and are being delivered in a virtual environment, we've still kept our girl numbers up. When we had to adjust in the last spring, we were able to keep about 70% of our girls engaged online, which is a huge number. Since then, we held an 8-week summer camp in which we gave out supplies to the girls every other week. So they had everything that they needed. And we served over 130 girls in that program. That program focused on science, math, engineering. It focused on being a leader in your community, stress management, body awareness, physical fitness for the girls. They did all kinds of stuff and really also just had fun. And in a moment where households are really stressed, I think that could be, I don't know, it's one of the most critical things, don't you think, Madonna? Like the girls just having an opportunity to have fun with one another, I think is so important.
You know, just them being able to have community and connection, I think was the biggest thing that we could have given them. And then, of course, throwing in our programming just made it a million times better. but I really feel like having friends and having family and feeling like you're part of something bigger is really amazing. So I think we did an amazing job, and our staff, I mean, kudos to them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think our staff have been fabulous. Every single one of them have rose to the occasion in a time which was super stressful.
Mhm.
That all of the people that are here joining us tonight understand that everybody has been impacted um, by COVID-19, and everybody has had to learn to adjust their lives. Some more than others, I think, and some I keep hearing the statement of we're all in the same storm but in different boats, which I think is really true in this moment. So right now, a couple other silver linings that we have going on is that we are serving more high schoolers than we ever have. So we have several groups of ninth graders that they all chose to sign up for Girls Inc. as part of their school day. So they're participating online. So many that we had to form 2 additional groups because there was too many of them in the 2 groups we originally formed. So we have more older girls than we ever have.
Right. Well, I'd really like to point out that it's actually not the normal for 14-year-olds to sign up to be part of groups. Usually the schools will have them become part of the groups, and then they show up and then they love Girls Inc. However, all of these girls were sent an email, and then we didn't realize that we were actually going to end up with almost all of them signing up and saying, yes, I want to be part of Girls Inc. The majority of these girls actually came from schools around Santa Fe because we'd worked with them, in previous years. And then they were coming back to us, and they knew that they needed connection and they needed community. And that's why they signed up, to be able to be part of what we do. So, it's all paying off. And those relationships are some of the most important things that we can build for our girls.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And over the last couple of years, we've really worked to focus on growth and growing our programs. And all that growth has been focused on low-income communities, girls ages 9 and up. And the schools have really leaned into that in this moment. And we're providing them a ton of support to get girls through their school day. So, the fact that we're able to serve 1,200 girls over the last year, we're still looking at serving over 1,000 girls as in this upcoming year that we're headed into now. So I couldn't be more thankful on the front of our programs being needed and being desired, and our staff's ability to deliver effective programming in this time. We continue to do okay financially. I think that's always a big question on everybody's mind. We have a risk and recovery committee that is meeting every other week since early May to kind of discuss what our risks are as an organization. How can we adapt to those risks? How can we make sure that we're staying ahead of those risks? And we met this morning, and it's always a really intense conversation because we're talking about things like the economy and the future of kind of race relations in this country, and the need for Girls Inc. and the demand for our programs, and how can we meet that demand? So it's consistently evolving. And that group has been critical for me as a leader, but also for the whole team in thinking through how do we stay open? How do we open safely? One of the things we are looking at is how do we open safely? And I'm sure you all have seen the cases in Santa Fe and across New Mexico have really skyrocketed in the last week. And so as we started to put finalizations on those plans, we also were realizing that we might not be able to do that as soon as we would like to. So our programs are going on strong in a virtual environment. And so our safety is our number one priority of our girls and our staff. And so it might look like that might be able to start in the spring. Fingers crossed on that. So financially, we are still in really good shape as of this moment. I think our questions are like everybody else. So what does next year look like? What does the economy look like next year? Owners' propensity to give, all of that. So I think as long as we can keep raising the money and having people support our programs, the girls are there and they're waiting for us. And I feel really fortunate in this moment to not have had to say no to anybody. We've been able to say yes to all the teachers' requests, the principals' requests, the superintendent's requests, as well as the wellness team for the Santa Fe School District as well, who we're also working with. We also have our Teen Leadership Council meeting. And last year they were meeting every other week, and now they're meeting weekly. So that's another silver lining, is they're meeting more often. And part of that is because they wanted to keep that community and keep engaged with each other. And part of that is also because they're feeling very active about the state of the world. And so they want to do things that create change. And so, oh, someone said they want to put Zoom halos over my head, and I'm not sure how to do that right now, but that would be amazing. It was a very distracting comment. But in the spring, the girls put on a congressional forum that we held over at the James A. Little Theater, and that was such a success. There was over 300 people in attendance. The girls asked the most amazing questions, and they were so fired up after that, they wanted to keep in community with that group. So they've been meeting ever since. Some of the projects they're working on right now is continuing to work on She Votes and getting out the vote, as well as they're working on a bill that's going to be put in front of New Mexico in the spring that's on affirmative consent. So teaching affirmative consent as part of the school. And one of the things that they're doing is our girls are coming up with the talking points that need to be put in place for talking about this bill in front of the legislature in the spring. So lots of good things on the advocacy front too. And we're really committed to centering our advocacy in the lived experiences of girls. So making sure that Teen Leadership Council is really out in front and telling us what we should be focused on as leaders. Some of the other things we're doing is we're really making sure that we're paying attention from all angles of the organization to diversity, inclusion, and equity. And so we started an equity inclusion committee that includes staff members and board members from all parts of the organization, so that we're making sure that we're taking care of the people that need our care the most, and that we're centering girls of color in as the center of our actions. Some of the other silver linings is that we've had girls that have had to move away because of different things, and they're still joining us Zoom. So they're just still joining us. A couple of them are on this call tonight, and you'll hear from them. They're joining us from their colleges. They're joining us from California, where they moved to, Oklahoma, Arizona, down in Albuquerque, all over the place. So we're able to serve girls in different pockets. We're also still serving the Santa Fe Indian School, as well as working with some of the BEI schools, the Bureau of Indian Education, to try to bring our programs to those girls in a virtual environment. So lots of really great things happening here. I'm going to stop talking. I think I was supposed to already stop talking. Look at me, taking too long, as always. So I'm going to turn it over to Madonna. Madonna's our Director of Programs, been with us 20 years, which is just outstanding, and really has led her team in this moment. So thank you, Madonna.
Thank you so much, Kim. I mean, that was pretty amazing, talking about all the work that we've been doing. We've been so busy that I haven't actually stopped and thought about all of the work we've been doing. It's just been go, 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 right? A week after we were virtual, we went to quarantine, we were virtual. So I'm just super proud of all of the work that we have done, and just everything that our staff are doing, and really our families who believe in the work that we do and are, committing to help their girls hop on to our groups and are signing them up, and the schools who are also seeing the value in the work that we do. So I mean, I am really, really happy and can see the silver lining in this situation for sure, because I feel like we have grown in so many different ways. So thank you, Kim, for your amazing introduction. As you can see, the sun has chased me again. I'm glowing. So really, I would like to say thank you to every single person who is here this evening. Thank you so much for really just believing in the work that we're doing, and just supporting everything that we do. We couldn't do it without you, and really just believing in, supporting the girls in being being the authors of their own stories. Because it's huge, and we're really trying to empower our girls to have all of the information to make the best informed choices for themselves, and that takes time and energy and love, and your everything that you give actually makes that possible for us. So thank you. So I actually have the honor of introducing some of our parents who are coming in to tell their stories, really for them to be able to show you what it is that you're investing in. Yes, you're investing in our girls' futures. You're investing in the future of our community and our world, but also really you're investing in the families. And so I'm really, really happy to introduce first Jocelyn Euler. And she's a parent who's been with us for probably about 7 years. if not more. Jocelyn, correct me if I'm wrong.
I think you're right.
We supported Jocelyn and her family. Her two girls came to Girls Inc. for most of those years. They actually moved away to Kansas, and we are actually able to continue serving her girls now because we are in a virtual setting, and I'm just stoked that she's wanting to tell her story. So Jocelyn, would you like to take it away?
I would. Thank you so much, Madonna. That was a really nice introduction. Like Madonna said, okay, I'm going to cry because the love that you invest in the girls is so evident. And so I just want to say I'm so grateful for the high school programming that you guys have expanded into. I'm so grateful for the virtual programming because it has really changed my daughter's lives. And what I know is that Girls Inc. has made my girls stronger, smarter, and bolder than they would have ever been without Girls Inc. So I'm going to talk about Isabella's experience tonight. She's my older daughter. She started Girls Inc. She's 16 now, and she started Girls Inc. when she was about 9. And she attended in person for about 4 years before we moved back home to Kansas. And one of the things I struggled with when I talked about moving home to Kansas is, what will we do without Girls Inc.? What do our lives look like without Girls Inc. in them? And it was a really scary idea that my daughters wouldn't have those positive role models, and they wouldn't have the safety to become who they wanted and can become in a healthy, safe environment. So when Isabella was at Girls Inc. every summer, I just saw her blossom. She became a bigger, better version of herself. She learned how to communicate with other girls. She learned how to communicate with her peers and with adults in a way that I think that she didn't know how to do before. So I asked her a few questions about what her takeaways from Girls Inc. were, given that she's now in the virtual programming and the teen leadership programming. And she said a couple of things that I'd like to tell you. She said that Girls Inc. gave her positive and empowering role models. And she stated, you don't get role models like that in a magazine. You don't get them at other organizations where girls are not the center of their programming. And specifically, she named Sally and Madonna as two of the people that provided her those role models. And they gave her healthy behaviors to replicate. So Madonna specifically and individually showed Isabella how to hike 17 miles. She showed her how to start a fire and chop firewood. And Isabella learned that she could do that herself. She could take those safe risks and find that she loved to be outside, that she loved to do that. She loved to hike, and she loved to push her body in a way that she never knew that she could do. So the other thing she said was she learned about healthy choices. She learned about body bubbles. That's a big thing in our family. We yell body bubble now a lot because Annika, as a 5-year-old, really struggled with asking for permission and learning about consent, which she just wanted to run up and hug everybody. And Girls Inc. really talked to her, like I think it was Madonna said, or maybe Kim, I'm sorry, that the girls learn about affirmative consent. That's something they're talking about in the leadership program. And that's something that we learned as 5 and 9-year-olds, that you don't get to choose what somebody else's body does. So she learned about consent and good choices for herself and respecting other people's boundaries. Girls Inc. helped her get out of her own comfort zone and try new things that she would have never tried before, including experiencing a big group of girls. That was scary to her. To become a friend to so many girls, that was something that she struggled with. And she learned, really, she told me that it helped her be who she was today by showing her it's okay to use your voice, say no, and to be outside your comfort zone. And so we were able to reconnect this summer through the magic of COVID. Like, who would have thought that COVID would bring us back to Girls Inc. while we live in Kansas and they're in New Mexico? So I try to send Isabella back every summer for Girls Inc. and it just never worked because she had a program here, or she couldn't come for the 8 weeks or whatever. And I didn't want to send her for 8 weeks, but I wanted her to experience Girls Inc. And so when we heard that they were doing virtual programming, it was a gift to us. Isabella really struggled during the pandemic. In the beginning, specifically, she had her 16th birthday by herself in April. There was nobody allowed. I mean, we were locked down. So she was depressed, she was sad, and she was really lonely. And our transition to Kansas had been rough. It had been, we lived without my husband for a year and a half while he was still in New Mexico and we were in Kansas. And right before the pandemic started, she really started to blossom again and make those connections and friends and her extracurricular clubs. So the virtual programming gave her an outlet to make her friends, to reconnect with friends that she'd seen every day for 4 or 5 years, and to engage with peers her own age. I mean, when we had friends over, it was like a fountain of conversation. And Girls Inc. has given her that opportunity to be herself and to be young and to learn. And I feel like she gained so much over the summer that she really learned about herself and how to work through struggles. This is a hard time for those children, and there's going to be scars. And Girls Inc. has really, really helped to, I think, heal some of those scars in a way. And she got to work with some of the younger kids this summer. She got to learn to model leadership behavior. She got to be, she said that working with the little kids was hard, not because the little kids were hard, but because the technology was hard. So she learned how to help people with technology. And Girls Inc. has always seen the potential in my daughters. They found opportunities for Isabella to learn how to be a leader through those programs and through the leadership program. And by offering her an opportunity to help those facilitators, she learned how to connect over a technology program, which is a difficult a skill to learn. It's hard to make those human connection when you're staring at a screen. And she told me that she learned about group agreements. She always was like, group agreements. But then they've changed and they've grown as these girls have grown, and as they don't bite anymore physically, but they can bite a little bit verbally maybe. And so I'm so thankful for what Girls Inc. has done to my family. I've become friends with Madonna, and I feel like my family, not just my daughter, but my family is better off because of Girls Inc. And now I'm going to cry again. They have invested in the lives of my children in a way that nobody besides my family has done. So they've become family. And I really just want to say thank you. Thank you for making my girls strong, smart, and bold. So, okay, that's it.
Thank you so much, Jocelyn. And it is completely my pleasure to be there as your friend and also to be there for your girls and your family. I mean, we really do care about you all, and I am so excited to know them when they're older. They're phenomenal humans.
Thank you, Madonna. Thank you so much.
All right. Perfect. All right. So it is my privilege to now introduce our next family, or our next parent. She has actually, she started her journey with Girls Inc. before I did, if you can believe that. And she's just going to talk to you a little bit about, the importance of the intentionality of the work that we do, how it is so impactful in a girl's life. So I'm really, really happy to be able to introduce Julia Bustamante. Yeah. Hi, Julia.
Hi, thank you so much for asking me to speak about my experience with Girls Inc.
You're welcome.
And so my experience with Girls Inc. actually started when I was 5 years old. So Girls Inc. has been in my life for over 30 years, if you can believe it. What Girls Inc. gave me, because I have many, many memories of running up and down the hill and walking to Fort Marcy to go swimming. We learned about gardening. We did arts and crafts. It was a great experience. And how it affected me, even now as an adult, is when I was 19, I was put in charge of running a construction site. And I knew I could do it because I may be young, I may be the only female on this site, but Girls Inc. taught me that I could do anything I wanted. And that was something I wanted to do. I wanted to run this site. When I became a parent, my daughter, she is my little tomboy. She went to construction sites with me. She had more guy friends than girlfriends. And so she was not a big fan of the idea that I was sending her somewhere where there were going to be no boys. But now she loves it there. She goes every day, and we're constantly talking about what she did at Girls Inc. And it's been amazing. The big thing that Girls Inc. has done for my family, though, was she had only been there a few months, and then I got diagnosed with cancer. And that is a scary thing for anyone, much less a child, to have to face the idea that her mom, because I was a single parent at this point, is facing a very, very scary illness. And Girls Inc. was there for her. They took this little girl who was scared and upset and angry and taught her how to channel it and make her confident and give her a sense of control of this situation, which most people don't have control during a cancer diagnosis. There's so many unknown questions. The other thing they did is she's lactose intolerant. So thankfully, she started to grow out of it so she can eat more dairy. But when she started, it was a no dairy situation for her. Most after school programs, they tell either the parents have to provide a snack for her, for their kid, or they don't do anything. So their kid will, if there's dairy being served, you skip out on snack that day. Girls Inc. took that into consideration. And so they brought her snacks. So her friends might be eating ice cream or popsicles, but they made sure there was some type of treat for her. And that's a big deal for a little kid because she got to see her friends enjoying their treat while she enjoyed hers. The other support that Girls Inc. gave us as a family while I was going through cancer diagnosis, there were days that for one reason or another, I couldn't get the payment to them by the due date. And they worked with me, making sure that I could get that when I made the payments, it came in on time, and they were willing to work with me and give me some leeway. And it was one less thing on my plate. And that was amazing as well. When the pandemic hit, Girls Inc. just rolled with it. They took this huge challenge and they taught these girls to be resilient, that there's always something that they can do. They rolled out bags for the summer, and we'd go and we'd pick up the 2 weeks worth of activities, and we had no idea what they were going to be doing with all these supplies. And so we took it, and Josie would put it there, and we'd play a game of, what do you think we're going to do this week with these stuff? And they did it. They did art. They did science. They had the girls up and moving. And you don't really think about it, but the way a lot of kids are able to connect with each other is through movement and games. So they had them doing yoga. They played games. They had them standing up and jumping around. So they weren't just sitting in front of the TV or sitting in front of a computer screen all the time. They had one-on-ones with the girls. So if the girls were going through something that they didn't feel comfortable talking to the entire group about, they could talk to their facilitator, and the facilitator could help them come up with coping mechanisms for whatever they were facing. When my daughter was spending the summer with her dad, she spent a week with him, and this was a first for her. She had never done it before, but Girls Inc. was there every day. So if she could log in, she was there. And that didn't always happen, but she knew that she had this group of adults that she could talk to and that could help her cope with this crazy situation that we're facing. So I would like to thank all of you for donating, because the future can be found at Girls Inc. And because of your support, the future is very bright.
Thank you so much, Julia. I am just so thankful for you allowing and trusting us to be able to be part of yours and Josie's story. And yeah, no, she really is a phenomenal human. And I mean, it would have been pretty amazing to have her here this evening to maybe share one of her stories. She is a powerhouse. So you're doing a good job, Mom.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank you so much for telling your story, Julia. Wonderful. All right. So I now have the pleasure of introducing our Girl of the Year from last year. She is actually one of probably my favorite humans in the world. She's quite fantastic. She's quick on her toes. She's definitely always willing to speak her truth and let her friends know exactly what she thinks. They actually refer to her as the judge most of the time. She's a very wise individual. But I'd like to introduce Isabella Willard. We call her Izzy. She is actually coming to us from Colorado, where she is at school. And we're just so excited to see her face because we have not seen her very much lately. And we miss you, Izzy. Welcome.
Hi. I hope my
Uh-oh. I think your internet's a little bit funny right now.
Isn't that typical? It was totally working just fine earlier
Totally was.
at school, and she's up in Colorado at college. Izzy, we can't really hear you very.
There's a funny delay there.
There is a funny. Oh,
She's back. There you are.
Hi. Oh, I'm worried about my my connection now because I'm in my dorm building and obviously a lot of students are using the Wi-Fi. So, hi everyone. I miss you all too. So, first of all, I would like to thank all of you for joining us this evening in celebration of all the work that you have all helped Girls Inc. achieve. It wouldn't be possible without any of you. It is my privilege to introduce Girls Inc. of Santa Fe's 2020 Girl of the Year. So, what is Girl of the Year, you ask? The Girl of the Year is a strong, smart, and bold woman who is empowered to advocate for what she believes in and what she knows to be right. She is confident in who she is and is unapologetically herself. She's resilient in the face of adversity, and she sees herself as a part of a bigger picture that will change the story for us all. When I first found out who had been chosen for this honor, I knew they made the right decision. I have known this girl for most of my time at Girls Inc., and I am so honored to have met her and have her in my life still. As our slogan goes, strong, smart, and bold, she represents it well. This girl is definitely one of the smartest people I know. Every time I talk with her, she tells me what she's studying in school, and I'm always amazed by the comprehension and complexity of the subject. She's so smart. I can't believe it. She works hard in anything she does. She always puts in 110%. She uses her intelligence to advocate too. She is a part of the Teen Leadership Council at Girls Inc. She has even extended our work by inviting people from her old and new schools to join the Teen Leadership Council's new project with Safe Bay. I have witnessed her hardworking attitude in school and out in the wilderness. I have gone on many hiking trips with her, and no matter how steep or rocky the trail gets, she always has a smile on her face, which brightens the mood of the whole group. She is a passionate, driven individual who always makes time for her friends in her busy life. She checks in on all of us to make sure that we're doing okay and is willing to help no matter how far away she is. And so it is my honor to introduce this year's Girl of the Year for for 2020, Megan Kashner. So proud of you.
Hi, Izzy. Thank you. Okay, so first of all, I really want to thank all of you. Like Izzy said, my experience at Girls Inc. and those of so many other girls would not be possible without you. And these experiences have been invaluable. Because of Girls Inc., I got to grow up in an environment where I could explore my passion for scientific discovery, art, and advocacy. I learned the importance of self-care, taking safe risks, and being engaged in my community. One of my earliest memories is going on weekly trips to the Santa Fe Public Library. While some days I used to just use that time to sit with my friends and do puzzles, I often found new exciting books. In kindergarten, believe it or not, I read anything I could find about bugs and butterflies. First grade was the year of beluga whales, and second grade was all about dinosaurs. I loved that at Girls Inc., I could be smart and silly, creative and sporty. I had no limitations. In the following years, there was more of an emphasis placed on self-love and understanding our place as girls in society. My friends and I dove into media literacy, economic independence, and body positivity. It may seem silly, but I vividly remember going on a field trip to the bank. We learned how to write checks, create savings accounts, and how banks operate. And another part of that silly little adventure was getting finger puppets and watching cars go through the drive-thru at the bank. During my young teen years, I got to explore the outdoors extensively, and I loved it. There was rock climbing, hiking, backpacking, rappelling, and even rafting. My first camping trip, which actually happened to be with Girls Inc., was a whirlwind experience, to say the least. We got caught in a lightning storm, eaten alive by bugs. I think it was like 122 bug bites that year, and learned the importance of bringing enough water. However, throughout it all, I built everlasting relationships, like with Izzy, and discovered the beauty of perseverance. Now that you all have heard a little excerpt from my 13 years with Girls Inc. of Santa Fe, I'd like to thank you all once again. Thank you for believing in me and so many of my friends. We are so proud to be Girls Inc. girls and could not have had the same experience without your help. So one more time, thank you.
Well, and Megan, we're so proud of you. So let's everybody at home give Megan a round of applause because she's amazing. Also a detective because we were trying to surprise you this. Snuck into her mom's phone and figured out that we were doing this as tonight. So I think you're a little bit of a detective also. So we're very proud of you. I have memories of when you were 5 years old and doing activities, and it's so great to see how much you've grown and changed and just become into yourself. And for those of you that do or do not read Kim's Corner and the monthly newsletter, Megan took over my Kim's Corner this month. So be sure to check that out. It's also going to be featured by Meow Wolf. So they're a featured blog. So look, there's your award behind you. So so thank you so much for being the Girl of the Year. We're so proud of you. And I don't know, you're wonderful. So thank you for all that you do. And you're going to definitely inspire the next generation. So, and hi, Kashners, it's good to see you.
Hi, Debbie. Hi, George. Hi, Liam. Oh, Debbie, George, we are so proud of your girl. We are so happy that she's still part of our crew here. And we're definitely a little sad when she left, but now that we have her, we're going to keep her. So she is ours. Well, at least until she goes away to college. But, you know, Megan, you're doing amazing things, and we couldn't be more proud of you. And you really are going to change the world in so many different ways. So we love you so much. And I'm really excited about this children's book you're going to start writing about penguins.
I've already started painting it.
So exciting. And I'm getting assigned first edition. Just so you know.
Yep.
That's That's amazing. Well, thank you so much, Megan, and thank you for joining us tonight from afar. So it's good to see you. And just to kind of wrap things up for tonight, I just want to, just thank all of you as champions and as our supporters. We couldn't make this happen without you. And, I think right now when the world is intense and it's really big. And I think tonight hearing these stories are so inspiring for me to keep my work up and keep pedaling on. So there's been a lot of really wonderful things that have happened at Girls Inc. despite the external environment. And I think one thing that I have to keep remembering is that when you invest in Girls Inc., you invest in tomorrow. You invest in the future of the girls and our future, our collective future. So it's kind of like planting a seed. You believe that tomorrow is going to be better and you believe in their future. So it's investing in their future. So collectively, we make this impact. So thank you so much for your support. I know that the world is dizzying, and I know that there's a lot of things out there that are pulling on all of us in this moment. So I hope tonight has given you hope for the future, and really proud to be part of this organization. I know that as we move forward, there's going to be a ton of organizations that deserve your continued support. And I ask you that you continue to support us, because you make this happen, and we couldn't make it without our dedicated staff, the volunteers, the board, the community supporters. Everybody that comes together makes Girls Inc. happen and makes that wonderful outcome that you heard so much about tonight. So we need you today to keep believing in tomorrow. And so thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure to have us in your living room or wherever you're calling in from for 50 minutes. So thank you so much for joining us and being part of our family. You make this happen. So have a wonderful afternoon and evening, and we'll hopefully see you soon. All right,
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye, Jocelyn. Bye, Megan. Bye, Julia.
Bye.
Bye, Sarah.